I was sitting at a cafe near the water when my phone rang. One of those places where the chairs are too close together and the sea looks calmer than it actually is. I'd ordered coffee I didn't really want, mostly to justify staying there longer. I had been doing that a lot on this trip, stretching moments so I wouldn't have to think about going back. When I saw my mother's name, I almost let it go to voicemail. Not because I expected bad news, because calls from her usually came wrapped in instructions disguised as updates. "I just wanted to let you know," she said. Her voice light, almost cheerful. "I gave your apartment keys to your sister. She's moving in while you're on vacation." I remember looking at the table first, at a thin crack in the wood where someone had carved their initials and never finished the date. "What?" I said. "You're never there anyway," she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. "It doesn't make sense for the place to sit empty." I told myself not to react yet. I had been gone 4 days. 4 out of 10. The trip was supposed to be a reset. A small reward for a year where everything felt provisional, my job, my relationships, even my own routines. I'd told them I was going. I'd told them when I'd be back. "I didn't agree to that," I said. "Well, it's done," she replied. She needed somewhere to stay. Family helps family. The call ended shortly after. No fight. No raised voices. Just a quiet certainty on her end, and a hollow space opening on mine. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I paid for the coffee and walked until the sound of the water drowned out the traffic. I told myself I must be misunderstanding something. Maybe she meant temporarily. Maybe she meant just a few boxes. Then my sister texted a photo. My living room, or what used to be my living room. Her couch where mine had been. Her bookshelf against my wall. A caption underneath of "Hope you don't mind." Needed the space. Another message followed. Also had to change the locks. The old ones were sticking tough. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. The distance made everything feel unreal, like watching someone else's life through a window. I thought about calling her. I thought about calling my parents back. I thought about booking an earlier flight home. Instead, I sat on the edge of a low stone wall and let the initial surge pass. I knew this feeling. The instinct to rush back and fix things before they hardened into something worse. The belief that my presence could still negotiate my own boundaries. When my father called later, his tone was already defensive. "You're never there anyway," he said, before I could explain anything. "What's the problem with sharing?" "I pay the rent," I said. "You can afford it," he replied. "Your sister needs help. You're being selfish." There it was. The familiar reframing. Absence as forfeiture. Independence as excess. My apartment had never really been mine in their minds, just a resource temporarily assigned. I didn't argue. That surprised him. I told him I'd call back later. Night, lying in a rented room with unfamiliar sheets, I thought about all the small ways I'd made myself convenient over the years. Letting them store things at my place. Letting my sister crash for a few weeks that turned into months. Giving spare keys because it was easier than saying no. This wasn't sudden. It was cumulative. The next morning, I woke early. The city outside was just beginning to move. I made coffee in the tiny kitchen and sat with my phone in my hand, scrolling through my lease. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wasn't even looking to prove a point. I was looking for clarity. The lease was clear. No unauthorized occupants. No lock changes without written approval. Violations subject to immediate action. I hesitated longer than I expected before calling my landlord. He answered on the second ring, sounding annoyed but awake. "I'm out of the country," I said, keeping my voice even. "Someone changed the locks on my apartment without my permission." There was a pause, a shift in his tone. "Who?" he asked. "My sister. My parents gave her the keys." Another pause, papers rustling. Keys clinking. "That's not allowed," he said. "I'll handle it." I think was it. No long explanation. No emotional appeal. I went for a walk afterward. Bought bread from a corner shop. Watched a man unlock his bike with exaggerated care. Life moving at its own pace, unaware of the quiet line I'd just drawn. 10 minutes later, my phone started vibrating nonstop. My sister first. What did you do? Then my mother. Why is the landlord calling? Then my father. This is unnecessary. I didn't answer. The messages kept turning, confusion turning into anger, anger turning into urgency. He says she has to leave. They're threatening legal action. You didn't have to take it this far. I read them all. I didn't respond until later that evening, when the sun was already low and the day had lost its edge. I didn't do anything, I wrote. I protected my lease. That was the last message I sent that day. The rest of the trip passed quietly. Not peacefully, quietly. I was aware of the tension waiting for me, but it no longer felt like something I needed to resolve immediately. I let myself stay. I let myself finish the vacation I'd planned. When I came home, the apartment was empty. My furniture back in place, though not arranged the way I'd left it. The locks were original. There was a faint smell of someone else's perfume that took days to fade. No one apologized outright. My mother said she didn't realize it would become such a big issue. My father avoided the subject entirely. My sister didn't speak to me for weeks. But something had shifted. They asked before coming over now, not warmly, not easily, but they asked. And I noticed something else, too. The space felt different, not because it had been invaded, but because it had been defended. Not with shouting, not with threats, just with a quiet refusal to be overwritten. I didn't win anything. I didn't repair the relationships. But I stopped disappearing from my own life. And for the first time, that felt like enough.